Good evening from London, wrestling fans. I'm your host, Ben Allison, and you are listening to Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast. Your one-stop shop for professional wrestling, insight, news, and reviews on a daily basis. And today, it's Monday, and you know what that means. It means it's time for Mailbag Monday, and we have some mail. We're going to be answering the questions which you guys have submitted via our Instagram stories. It's going to be a really fun show. I'm excited for it. And we've got a great panel to do it with. Let's kick things off with the co-host of the show, Clark Taylor. How are you, Clark?
Dude, I am stoked to be here. As usual, it's Mailbag Monday. I feel like Meg Ryan and Tom Hanks. We've got mail. I'm ready to get going. Blues Clues references we'll save for next Monday. But Meg Ryan, Tom Hanks, you've got mail. 90s classic. Go check it out. I can't wait to get into the mail. Thank you, everybody, for submitting. Let's talk about it.
Absolutely. We've got a lot of comments on Instagram already. We haven't really been live on Instagram the last couple of days for the daily because, well, Instagram's technology. But we're back on Instagram now, and the comments are flooded with saying we want Cody or we want Rocky. So there's a divide. Our audience is divided, just like they are with our takes. But last but certainly not least, we have Soul. Soul, how are you?
Oh, Wrestling Republic Universe, always so undecided and always so bickering. That's just your staple. And hey, you know what? It's a good staple to have, but I'm here as well because get used to this mug because you're going to be seeing it all week. I ain't going anywhere. Sadly, unlike Cody Rhodes' plans for WrestleMania, they've gone out the window. So let's get on with the daily.
I mean, you're not wrong, are you? They really have gone out of the window. We got Anthony Manzano. Shout out, Anthony. We got Numero One Superfly. Shout out to you. And we got Bobby Ratito saying Chris Abram will be facing Mustafa Ali. Take my money, Scott D'Amore. But
I thought it was like a Chris Sabin, Kip Sabian tag team. I'm kidding, Bobby. I'm sorry. Because I saw Chris Sabian when I saw it, I was confused for a second.
Shout out, Bobby. Nowadays. Absolutely, shout out. Lord Virus of Nurgle doesn't want to see Cody or Roman. He wants Rollins versus Frazier at WrestleMania instead. I mean, that would be a fantastic match. I would say that. Main event worthy, I'm not sure.
From the 3-point line.
I'd love to see that match there, by the way. Student versus teacher. That would be a banger for sure. But let's get into Mailbag Monday. Let's open the mail. First things first, we've got I'm so bad at reading out these names, right? At Maximos, I think I got it actually, is saying, what would you do if you were, in the Cody and Rock situation? How would you fix it, essentially? And I've got a new idea. I pitched an idea yesterday, but I've got a new one again. Before I say my idea, if you haven't checked out Anthony Ricciardi's opinion article on how he'd book it, it's up on WrestlingRepublic.com now, so have a look at that if you want to. Really, really interesting article, and a very, unique perspective on how it could go. And I think it would definitely work if it does go that way. But for me, tonight, I'd have Cody Rhodes. Of course, he's facing Shinsuke Nakamura in that ball rope match. That's already confirmed. Well, the entire show, not acknowledge Cody. Not acknowledge Cody really at all, apart from the fact he's having a ball rope match in the main event. That's all I'd say. Maybe a few times, have there be a bit of a silence in the crowd or whatever in between WrestleMania commercials so you can get those "We Want Cody" chants going. But apart from that, no referencing, anything else to do with Cody. No referencing the "We Want Cody" movement. None of that, right? Then in the main event, Cody Rhodes faces Shinsuke Nakamura. They have a 15-minute match, whatever. And in the end, Cody Rhodes wins. But the finish is a bit weird. It looks like something went wrong. Maybe, an audible was called because of an injury. And Cody's won it maybe a couple of minutes earlier than he should have won it. Because there's still 2 minutes before Raw ends. And the finish was a bit abrupt, right? And at this point, I'd have Triple H walking down the entrance ramp. No theme, nothing. And just for him to grab a mic off Samantha Irvine, get in the ring, and just grab Cody and say, do you want to finish your story or don't you? Don't let people, get in the way. because you've been the American Nightmare. You've been going against the grain this entire time. You left this company to go against the grain. You started a new company where nobody said it could be done. And then when you weren't treated right in that company, you went against the grain once again, and you returned to the place nobody ever expected you to return to, and went to the main event. And now you're going to let somebody stop you? You need to finish your story. And then the feed just cuts. That's the end of the show. And then have it leaked to the dirt sheets or whatever that Triple H went off script. Triple H genuinely has an issue with The Rock. And why does he have an issue with The Rock? Well, maybe it's because of all these dirt sheet speculation reports that The Rock is trying to, replace him in creative. Ooh. And then we're blurring the lines. A casual viewer will just think, Triple H is trying to, get Cody, fire him up a little bit. But then the hardcore fans, well, they're all speculating. They're tweeting about it again. We want Cody's trending #1 again. And then Thursday, all eyes on the press conference, and just announce Rock versus Reigns. Just announce it like that. And then everybody's disappointed. Everybody goes home from that press conference unhappy. And then on Friday, Cody Rhodes comes out. He starts cutting a promo on SmackDown about what he's going to do. And you think he's about to say that he's not going to finish the story this year. And then out comes The Rock. And The Rock says that, Cody, he deserves to finish the story. He absolutely does. But he deserves to finish it next year, because this year he needs to finish his own story. And then The Rock will say, just like I told you last week, Cody, you've got to respect the ones who came before you. And I came before you, just like Dusty came before me. And I know Dusty would want you to respect the legends. And then The Rock walks out. And Cody's just there, just looking like blank with his face. And then as The Rock's theme hits, he's halfway up the ramp. Cody just grabs that mic again and just goes, no, I'm the Royal Rumble winner. I'm challenging Roman. Then it's a triple threat. And The Rock just mentioning Dusty there, right? Trying to use Dusty to stop Cody is what puts Cody over the edge. And there we are. From you as well, you've got the Triple H and, Rock thing. Obviously, they've had a rivalry for years. We were expecting that match to happen a few years ago. Of course, that's off the table now. Well, Triple H could kind of be in Cody's corner, and that reopens things up a little bit again. I mean, I think that would maybe be the most interesting way to, do that one. I mean, so apparently I'll cry if that happens. These comments, they love to just get on me.
I got a crying comment again, too. I'm probably going to need to get another one. I don't know.
It's allergies, guys. Come on, he's got allergies, right? Come on.
We got Anthony Manzano saying maybe Cody beats Reigns at Elimination Chamber. No way. I mean, maybe they will, but I hope that's not the case. I mean, we got Carl Queensborough saying a heel turn from The Rock. I don't think they could do a heel turn. I think they could do, in my suggestion, I wasn't having The Rock turn heel. I was having The Rock be The Rock and The Rock be a bit cocky. So then everyone will cheer for Cody. But some people will cheer for The Rock and some people will boo The Rock. But then as long as most people boo Roman, then you have an interesting dynamic for a triple threat. But Clark, what did you think about my pitch and how would you do it?
I like your pitch, but I still think this whole thing is goofier than a football bat. I can't figure it out. I haven't been able to figure it out. We displayed ultimate patience with Cody Rhodes finishing the story for an entire year between Manias where he's on the wrong brand to go after the title that would allow him to finish the story. And then all of a sudden we just had it slated like, ooh, well, he's going to win the Rumble and then he's going to finish the story. Like, we hit the pause button on the story anyway. And now all of a sudden The Rock comes in and we're all upset. The only problem with this entire thing booking wise is having Cody win back-to-back Rumbles. Now, how do we fix it here if we had to? If I'm playing hypotheticals, I think pretty simply, you have Sami Zayn cut the exact same promo Cody cut for him, headed into Elimination Chamber last year, motivates Cody, and is like, dude, I'll deal with Seth.
Yeah, that's what Anthony said in his article as well, just to give credit.
No, I said it first. Just so you know.
Did you?
Yes. I messaged it to you first too. Yeah, that idea was a Clark Taylor original, but that's not the point. That's neither here nor there.
Stealing ideas, Anthony. I'm joking.
Sami Zayn cuts that promo, and then you end up with Drew, Sammy, and Seth in the opener of night 1. You have your Damian Priest cash in. That's great. You throw Cody into the Rock Roman equation, and guess what? Roman Reigns pins the Rock, and the story's still not over. That's how I'd book it. If you're asking me, I don't have any desire to see the story finished at WrestleMania. There's not enough time to tell the whole thing. We want Cody isn't the story. We want Cody's a hashtag. Cody Rhodes, the story is about picking up the WWE title that his father got robbed of. Tell me that story, and then I'll be excited to see it finished. But until then,
I mean, they have told that story like quite a few times.
The most they've told of that story was on Cody's promo where he handed the Rock on a silver platter to all of us for the Mania main event. That's the most.
They did do it a lot. They did do like 2 segments in the build up to Mania last year, literally about
last year
having to hand back
before
over the title
of last year, right? And then so from
yeah.
April till January now, and we still only have till April. Pause button. We haven't heard a word about it. He's been wrestling
That's
Brock
true.
Lesnar and in War Games or whatever. Like he's just been doing stuff and waiting around. No, I believe that the story that Cody Rhodes has to tell is the best available in all of professional wrestling currently. I want it told properly. So if we want Cody could possibly lead to that, I'm fine with it. But if it's not totally thorough, I don't want the story to be finished because then it's gone. They can't retell it.
That's a good point. And I mean, they should have done a couple of things, such as when Cody got drafted to Raw this year, Cody should have just been absolutely livid. He should have been like, how can I get on SmackDown? They're like, well, there's no way to. He's a bit upset, whatever. Continues his story with Lesnar. But then also when Jey Uso got traded to Raw because of Cody, he used whatever little political, whatever it was he said backstage in WWE he had. Well, why aren't you using that to get yourself over to SmackDown? Why didn't you say that I should be traded for Jey Uso? And then when Jey Uso comes, you presume you're going to get traded to SmackDown, and then an evil GM, sweeps the rug from you and says, no, you can't do that. I'm actually switching this person. Then Cody's even more mad, and he's got to fight against all these things to just get, a chance. And then eventually the Royal Rumble comes, and he's like, this is the opportunity. This is how I finish my story. And then maybe he wins the Rumble, maybe he doesn't. Maybe you do the Shawn Taker thing, where actually he doesn't win the Rumble. Everyone thinks he will. He won't. Doesn't finish the Rumble, but maybe the Rumble winner picks Seth for some storyline purpose. Like if you can persuade people that would be realistic. And then from there, Cody wins Elimination Chamber and gets in.
Yeah, I had Cody winning Elimination Chamber over Solo immediately following Mania of last year, and I would have preferred that to what we have.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, we've got a few comments saying it's a work, including this one from Curvin. Listen, it could be a work. I don't think it is because of the way in which it was done. Now, a lot of people are speculating that CM Punk was meant to win the Rumble, and then people are saying, well, no, he couldn't have been because WWE released merchandise immediately following the Royal Rumble about Cody, so clearly that's not true. In actuality, the design teams 99% of the time don't get told about this stuff. So they probably had a few different designs for a few different winners, right? Obviously not everybody, but, maybe 2 to 3 names. So I wouldn't take that defense. I don't think that rules out a Punk victory being the plan. But we don't know, do we? We really, really don't. We're going to have to wait and see if we find out about that. But do I think it's a work? Do I think they knew what they were doing with the timing of it? Yes, I 100% think the reason The Rock came in this year, this Mania, is because of the Vince stuff and the injuries. 100% that's the reason they're doing it. But, I think they just used that to their advantage. I don't really think it's a work, to be honest with you, but they knew what they were doing. I kind of went a long way about that, but we got to the point in the end.
We got there.
We took a few side alleys, but we're there. We got to the location. We're 10 minutes late to the party. But Sol, I want to hear your thoughts. What did you think? What do you think about this? How would you fix the story before we finish it?
Fix what? It's perfect. It's absolutely funny as anything. This is the best comedy I've had in like a week. I mean, I'm perfectly fine with it. But if you want me to give a take to actually fix this, let's do this. Raw, the Shinsuke match happens fine. And then afterwards, Punk's music hit and he walks out wearing this latest shirt I've seen on WWE shop, Reclaim Your Kingdom. And he does a whole promo about that. Basically, Cody, reclaim your kingdom. Then at the press conference, Cody comes up and he says, I'm not going to reclaim my kingdom. I'm going to cement it. So I'm going to prove it to you and your elders. Night 1, Cody versus Solo Sikoa. And it's a reminiscent of 30 with Bryan. He beats that, he gets in the main event. Because then if you think about it, Cody beats Solo, and if we get Jay versus Jimmy, and Jay beats Jimmy, there's no one from the bloodline that can interfere. They'd be out. So in the night 2 main event, all he has to do is Cody has to get that crossroads on Roman and pin him. Because then you could do a follow-up match with The Rock at SummerSlam. Rock was technically never pinned. Cody versus Rock. You've got this whole hashtag army. You could do hashtag shirts. Cash in on this. Have a whole civil war between the whole WWE universe. I would do that.
We want Rocky versus we want Cody. I actually like that idea, Soul. I really, really do. They need to do that half of it, about them going to SummerSlam for sure. I think that would be brilliant. It really, really would. Let's now head to the next question, and the next question is submitted by Coach23, and it's NXT related, so I'll ask you, Clark, right? You're the resident off-the-air guy on the show today. Of course, shout out to Shada and Drizzy as well. Killer show last night, guys.
It was a blast.
But Coach23 is asking, who do you think is behind the Japanese proverb promo at NXT Vengeance Day? And I have a take, because a little while ago, a man in New Japan, right, and this man's name is Tamatonga, said that his contract was nearly up. We don't know when it's up, but I'm going to speculate it's close. And this is about Tamatonga. Of course, he's not actually Japanese, but he's been in Japan for years. So him referencing a Japanese proverb, it would make a lot of sense. And he's a man who's had a lot of different faces throughout his career. He's been a face, he's been a heel. And he mentioned family. Well, he's in a part of the bloodline itself. So I think there's some great references there that you can play off. I mean, Clark, who do you think it is?
The other name obviously thrown around might be Okada, right? If you were gonna speculate, I don't think that's how you introduce Okada.
No, I don't think
NXT
so.
Or the WWE audience. I just think that's too big of a fish in that spot. Tamatonga is a big fish in his own right. Short run in NXT just to get him caught up on working televised American wrestling, basically in WWE by comparison to what he's been doing in New Japan. We know how good he is bell to bell, but one quick run, a cool Japanese proverb to introduce him. I love the idea of Tamatonga. I honestly like that. That is the direction that I would go. But I wish I had a better inkling, because I feel like I have a better idea of who it's not than who it is. Right?
Yeah.
And that's the hardest part about this. It could very well be a signing that we don't know. That would be a bit of a letdown considering how big it did feel watching the segment. But yeah, Tamatonga to me would be the leader in the clubhouse, or the front runner if you're asking me, right? That's who I would go with, because I truly don't believe it's Okada. It's not Mercedes Moné. It's not Sasha Banks, right? It's
Imagine.
we're talking about free agents here, right? Like, if you run down the list, who could it exactly be? I'm not entirely sure. I think Kushida's pretty locked up at TNA. A Kushida return to NXT might make some sense. I don't know. Maybe Akira Tozawa making a run on NXT, but
He's so over right now, though.
Because he's so over. That's the problem, right? So that's why I said it's easier to say who I don't think it is than who I do. Tamatonga, I not really totally considered until you mentioned that. I did know that he was a free agent, but that is a great call, and that would make a ton of sense to me. I could easily see that being the case. And so, not to steal your pick or being totally agreeable, but I totally feel the same way. Like that makes the most sense to me.
I mean, we have the Instagram comments are not being very, very kind to us here at all.
No, that's fine.
As always, actually. But flipping heck, these are very, very harsh. But TJHO, so T Hothead. Oh yes, the Hothead is back. He's saying, "Screw Cody and his story. All hail the Tribal Chief." Well, there we are. We want Roman as well. I want to very quickly check, guys. I'm not breaking up for you, am I?
No. Good audio.
Perfect.
We're good to go.
Sometimes my laptop has so many things open on it because I've got the Instagram open at the same time. It's showing that the Instagram's broken up, which is why I froze for a second. And I thought there was a technical issue. There isn't any, but do you know what there is an issue with? There is an issue with mid-card titles, and that brings us to our next question. And this next question is submitted by Wrestling Fan UK, and it is: should WWE introduce a female mid-card title like the men's division had for United States and Intercontinental Championship? Well, this is what I'll say on that, right? I don't like mid-card titles. I have never liked mid-card titles. I complain about them in AEW, which I think that's a more extreme situation because at least in WWE, you only have one on each brand and there's a brand split, right? But in AEW, there's now 3. But anyway, that's a side note. I don't like them anyway. What's the point in them? Like, unless there's a stipulation behind them, what's the use in them? Like, seriously. That's why I thought in AEW, the rankings, at least you could make it make a bit more sense if there was a separate rankings for it. Like, maybe you challenge for that one before the world one or something like that. But nope, they make no sense to me. But if the men's division's going to have them, then so should the women's. That's the bottom line. So should they? Yes. But I would actually abolish all the mid-card titles if it was up to me. What's your thoughts, Sol?
The thing about mid-card titles is that they are a necessary thing because other than that, you have basically wrestlers sitting and catering, fighting over just themselves and nothing to go for. So do I think there should be a women mid-card title? Absolutely. But the thing is that, this is with the men as well, I don't like there being 2 world titles. There should only be really one goal, one big top prize for each individual, the men and the women. Now, if they were going to introduce women mid-card titles, there's a thing that I don't want them to do with it. And I've seen it in 2K. So it shows there that there's an audience that love to have the mid-card titles for the women because it's some of the top downloads for the creator belts. I don't want just female United States Championship. I don't want just female Intercontinental Championship. I want something unique and different. And this is the same if TNA were to do it. I don't want like a female X Division Championship. I don't want anything of that. I want it to be like a unique thing. Now, immediately some people are going to think, well, the TBS title is just the exact same as the TNT title. Slightly different. You know, it is technically a network kind of championship, one representing another. And another.
It is the same.
It's still kind of a mid-card title thing, but for the women.
It's the same design with a different logo.
But it looks amazing, though. It's better than, you know, the half the things that are on WWE television anyway. But besides that, I think if you were going to do a women's only championship and looking at the roster as well for the women specifically, I think you could do this. WWE Women's European Champion. Bring back the European Championship and make it women. You could have people like Tegan Knox go for it. Nikki Cross. You got Doudrop as well. You could have those kind of people go for that championship. Who obviously were there, but obviously open it up as well. But I think to have a bit of a deviation from it and make women's mid-card titles not only just the copy-paste of the men's, because you got a deal on the belts crafting, but have them be unique. And that's something I feel like also with women's wrestling, it has to have that unique factor of these mid-card championships, if they're introduced, to be that unique factor.
I would like it, and I do agree with you. If you're going to do that, have them be different names. Because that's being creative. And there's not enough creativity in wrestling, that is for sure. So I do completely agree with you there. But the next question is another NXT one. So we need to get the resident NXT expert on the panel, Clark, in for this. Clark, Bobby Batito, shout out to Bobby, is asking, who would you guys like to see be a champion on the NXT roster? I mean, what do you think, Clark? Who do you think deserves a championship on that roster right now?
I mean, I said I thought we saw actually the best main event singles match that we've seen thus far in 2024. I understand the year's young. Last night I said this on Off the Air, between Trick Williams and Dragunov. Trick Williams would be at the very top of my list, without question, as a future NXT World Champion, if that's what we're asking, right? That, to me, Trick Williams he's found not just the it factor charismatically, the athleticism adds up, and his in-ring work has only gotten better. He's always been good on the microphone. He can do it all. The turn with him and Carmelo, I understand, sets that back. So that's not exactly a satisfactory answer. I don't mind Obafemi being the first person to hold both belts at once since Keith Lee.
Oh,
that would not bug me.
Give Obafemi everything.
That would not bug me in the least, especially if we have a plan for Dragunov. Maybe a rivalry on the main roster with Gunther down the road. Maybe something like that. I would love to see that. On the women's side, everyone knows I'm a huge Nikita Lyons fan, so I'd love to see Nikita Lyons score women's gold, of course. Although Lyra Valkyria, the run is underrated. She's awesome. She's awesome. And I thought it was interesting with the cash-in last night in the triple threat match. It was a very exciting match. I felt like a bit of a wasted cash-in for Lola, but not the point. Lola Vice I would have no problem with. The charisma's there. I think she can work her way into a spot where she can be champion. Another one, though, Fallon Henley. I would love to see Fallon Henley in a big spot. I think Fallon Henley has real charisma. She's gotten better week by week, even on the way out. And it's a storyline that never got to be paid off. And that's kind of the nature of the beast with NXT. So I'll give it a break. But having Tiffany Stratton, almost like the old school Simple Life stuff in the stables and doing all of that with Fallon, like it really did bring out her full personality. And I think her in-ring work backs it up too. A true singles run, I would be all over with Fallon Henley. I'd love to see Fallon challenge for a title in the near future.
Absolutely. No, I couldn't agree more. She is highly underrated. You mentioned Obafemi. I'm going to make a big call right now, a big take, right? That I think Braun Breaker and Obafemi are going to be the Rock and Stone Cold of this next era of professional wrestling. I mean, they're both so young, right? And that's what I'm saying now. Get Braun Breaker on that main roster. Get him those reps on the main roster now. Post-Mania at this point. I would have done it already, but certainly post-Mania. Obafemi, he's still relatively new. Give him another year. But in a year's time, I'd have him then called up too. And I'd establish Breaker as the star first. Have him be, the next Roman Reigns, if you like. Have him win the big one quite early on in his career, and then have Obafemi take it from him. Everybody thinks, okay, Braun Breaker is the new Roman Reigns. This is the guy they're putting, the rocket onto, and then Obafemi ruins it. Maybe even as soon as Braun Breaker wins, Obafemi wins the big title, Obafemi debuts and takes him out immediately after winning it. Doesn't give him a celebration. I mean, that's maybe going a little extreme and fast in terms of booking, but you get my point. Obafemi, Braun Breaker, these guys, I think, have so much potential, and they're so young. They look like stars, and they're great in the ring already, and they're only going to improve.
The athleticism is world-class between both, too. That's the other part that is you can't miss that, right? You look at Roman Reigns with his football background, the football background for The Rock. I mean, even Stone Cold Steve Austin was an excellent Texas State high school athlete growing up, right? And it's hard to get great athletes all the time in pro wrestling. Obafemi and Braun Breaker are both capable of doing things athletically that others just are not. And that's something I think we've lost sight of at times because we get obsessed with the size thing. Obafemi is that size and can do the same thing as everybody else. And that's a different equation.
No, absolutely. And I don't want to see a Pete Dunne thing here, right? Because Pete Dunne, he was so young when he won the NXT UK Championship. He had a great reign with it. I was like, okay, well, they're calling him up to the main roster now. They didn't. They wasted him for like 2 years. Admittedly, the pandemic played a huge factor in that. But then he did get called up, and then they've done like nothing with him until like now. And they literally wasted about 5 years of his career. And that guy was so young. And now he's still only 30, right? He's not doomed. He's got like another 15 years left. He could well and truly be fine. But what I'm saying is they missed out on they could be 3 years ahead now and then have him be a top star for an extra 3 years. Meaning that I say this all the time. It's common sense. But every year you're a top star, every year you'll make more money. Why? Because more people will know who you are, because more people get interested in wrestling every year, and then more people, kind of stop watching wrestling every year as well. The cycle always happens. But then when those people who have stopped watching see a glimpse of it, if they see someone familiar, it draws them back in. This is why I always say, young stars matter. We need more of them, right? And that's why we shouldn't push people when they're in their late 30s unless there's, a big movement for it, like LA Knight. Because that is a great, great exception to that rule. But we've got another question now, and it's by Wrestling Fan UK again. But it's such a great, question that us UK folk, me and Soul, need to discuss it again. And this one is, do you feel tag team wrestling is overlooked within WWE? And if yes, then what should they do? Soul, what do you think?
So I think there's two very big reasons why tag team wrestling is overlooked and honestly terrible within the WWE right now. Wow. On the main roster, at least. On the main roster, at least. I need to emphasize that only on the main roster, because it is actually doing somewhat well in NXT. You got the family, you got Chase U, who I absolutely love. Chase U, the amazing calendar, sold out immediately. God damn, I wish I kind of bought one now. And then you've got Braun Breaker and Baron Corbin, who won the Dusty Cup and just at the pay-per-view before you die there. Relax, my friend. So why do I think that it's bad on the main roster? Two things. The first thing, the titles. Look at every other title on the main roster. They've got very good front plate and they have the circle side plates. Gives identifying factor to who holds the championship. You look at the championship and you look at the side plates and you think, well, who's holding that? Oh, I can see with the identifier on the side plates. The tag titles don't have that. They are just still the same terrible brand identifying tag titles with the same design they've had since I think 2014 with the Roman head, the Roman Centurion heads.
Yeah.
And the fact that
penny titles.
The fact that they're meant to be like the unified tag titles when it's just two belts. I hate that. I hate when Sammy Guevara did it with the TNT Championship. I hate it with this. So it's shocking because they have an excellent tag team title design that they should just utilize. The NXT tag title design. I mean, look, what you would do is this, right? For the main roster, you have this be a circle, right? For this, take that WWE Network logo and just get rid of this and make this bigger. Then you have a perfect looking tag team title for the main roster, all right? That's what you would do with that. Second, the tag teams within the WWE main roster, I'm sorry to say this, are abysmal. They're honestly abysmal. Look, the only good tag teams we actually have on the main roster are three of those. And they are the New Day, Imperium, and the Creed Brothers. Besides that, I don't care about any of the other tag teams. I don't care about DIY. I don't care about the Viking Raiders.
I don't care about DIY.
I don't care about the Judgment Day with Priest and Finn. And
same.
Is there even any tag teams I could?
Yes! My favorite! Pretty Deadly!
Yeah.
Yes, boys!
Pretty Deadly's great.
That's the thing. I forgot about them because they're not really showing it. I know they had the whole trilogy with Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate.
They're on TV like every week still.
Besides that look, if you look at the tag team division, who's like the top of the tag team division, right? It's the Usos and the New Day. The Usos are gone. The New Day have been around for too long that honestly they're very stale. It's just the same old thing with the New Day that they've won the tag titles so long. Don't get me wrong. They made themselves the best tag team within the WWE by that record and do right. But when you've gone on for so long, what else can you do to mix it up? They tried to make Big Ego a single star and it worked for a bit, but then it was absolutely terrible after the Brock Lesnar loss. Xavier was the king of the ring, and that one was like, hey, big moment for him. Then went nowhere. And DIY is a shame because I feel like they've done everything they could with DIY. You look at they were in NXT for way too long, and ththey've done the whole Ciampa betraying on Gargano. Gargano betrays on Ciampa. They now become best friends again. So where do you do another rehash of the betrayal saga? Honestly, keep them as single stars. It's better for it. Ciampa is probably the one that's going to be the more beneficial out of the two. Gargano, it doesn't do it for me anymore. I feel like since Gargano left NXT, he's now like a shell. Like that was NXT was prime Gargano. This is someone else. So honestly, the best place for tag team wrestling right now, surprisingly enough, it isn't AEW. I would say it's
No,
the
it's
UK
not.
independent scene.
Oh, okay. Okay.
We've got like the Smoking Aces, the Progress Tag Team Champions. We've got Sunshine Machine, who have done great stuff in Rev Pro and Progress. We've got the Greedy Souls, who are killing it in Wales. We've got Subculture of Mark Andrews and Flash Morgan Webster, who have done some great stuff in Rev Pro, current Tag Team Champions as well. Even stuff here in Scotland as well. You've got the Young Team, ICW Tag Team Champions. They're like in their early 20s as well, and they're already Tag Team Champions. We're absolutely killing it here. But the thing with the WWE is that for the longest time, tag team wrestling hasn't mattered. Like WrestleMania 39 was the first time tag team main evented since the first one. There's been times where the tag team titles have just been, there's things where the tag team titles have just been on either the pre-show, the SmackDown before, or they've just not been on at all. It's an element within the WWE that has always been neglected. I mean, look at it. Cody Rhodes, one of their biggest guys, won the tag team championships with Jey Uso and then lost it to the Judgment Day, and no one's really bothering about it. Like, no one's like, oh, Cody Rhodes, biggest man in the company with the tag team titles. Yeah, that's awesome. And then it's like, nah.
They held it for 1 week.
Something like it was
no.
tiniest amount of time.
It wasn't 1 week.
1 week.
It was not 1 week. It was like a month.
The tiniest amount of time.
1 month.
WWE tag team wrestling is abysmal. Will it ever recover? I honestly don't know. I think it's just in this spot. It's basically the modern era Divas division.
It's in its DNA. No, I think it can recover for sure. But you are right. It's not in a good place right now. I do actually completely agree with that. We've got Bobby Petito suggesting, how about Sunshine Machine? But yeah, guys, we're gonna have to wait. We're gonna have to wait and see.
They main evented night one last year with a tag team titles match, and there is no chance either night's main evented by the tag team titles this year.
Yeah, I think that'll never happen.
You're right. You are right. But we got to move on because we've only got a couple minutes left. We need to answer this final question, and it's a question from Anthony Manzano. And this question is, I thought something fell on me then. My studio's falling down, my computer's crashing, and I'm choking on water during this podcast. What else could go wrong? Oh, please, no. This question is from Anthony Manzano, who says, who should Rey Mysterio hand over the LWO to? And what NXT or main roster person would you like to see join the LWO? Well, I think Dragon Lee, I don't think he should join it until he takes over it. I think the torch should just be passed to Dragon Lee when Rey Mysterio gets drafted to Raw or something next year. And then Dragon Lee's the face of it. Because that guy's got bucket loads of potential. I think he's only 27 as well. So, listen, he's young. He's got youth on his side. I've talked about it on this podcast, how important youth is. He's got everything. Strap a rocket to him as well. How about that? Have him run the LWO. What about you, Sol?
I mean, honestly, I would just dissolve it. Because I thought the LWO was very good until... what's his name again? That Fantasma guy, Elgato. What's his name? Santos Escobar. That's the guy. Yeah, you can tell I really don't care. When he left the group and all that, I felt like that's when it lost its steam. It was really popular around when we went to Mania 39 because they had the whole LWO shirts. They were selling like hotcakes. Then Payback happened as well. I know they were really popular. I've not seen the show, so I can't say. I don't know. Were they really popular? Maybe.
Yeah, they were hugely.
I doubt it.
Entrance to the year with Bad Bunny.
I doubt it. Nah, heresy. You're talking lies there. Then they did some stuff, whatever. I mean, I honestly, if you were gonna do anything, like I've heard people say put Andrade in it, but do you really want Andrade to go into another faction when he kind of just left a while ago the Andrade Hardy family office? I don't think that's what he wants. I don't think that's what a lot of people want. So honestly, if you were gonna do anything with the LWO to give it a meaningful end, have Ray versus Dominic in maybe a hair versus faction match or something like that. If Ray wins, he gets to shave Dominic or put him in the timeout corner. And if Dominic wins, he gets to disband the LWO or make them all his lackeys or something. I mean, heck, maybe even have Dominic lead the LWO or something like that. And when Judgment Day all collapses, and he can run it as his own little kingdom sort of thing. I don't know. I'm just guessing here.
I mean, I'm going to be honest. I'll say one thing. I think Andrade would prefer to be in Judgment Day rather than be in a family office with Matt Hardy. I mean,
Legato makes sense though for Andrade to me.
Yeah, it does. I mean, yeah, I make jokes all the time about AEW's booking. It is usually very good, right? But the Andrade Hardy family office was like that was straight out of Vince McMahon's like
It was a dicey
I
time.
don't know. Yeah, it was not a good one at all. I mean, Clark, what about you? What would you do with the LWO?
The easiest question of the day by 100 miles. Thankfully, to end the show, we finally get an easy question. I'll tell you who it's not. It's not Andrade, and it's not Dragon Lee, and it's not. There's one super obvious answer, and it's Zelina Vega. Let Zelina Vega lead the group with the microphone. Speaking of iconic entrances, say what you will about Bad Bunny. That one with the flag in the ring in Puerto Rico, LWO wise, Zelina Vega as the leader is the only move in my eyes, and it's not even close because she can handle it in the ring, and we found that out too. And there's no one else in that faction that's even close as good on the mic. There's a billion stories to be told. They may not even be baby faces for long. Depending on how the Legato thing plays out, we may end up with a total LWO type takeover. And you have Zelina, I think, number one mouthpiece on the microphone the whole time, and also competing in the women's division because we need to get her back in the title picture. That was one of my favorite storylines of last year. So it's two birds, one stone. That one's a no-brainer to me. I think Zelina Vega is the perfect pick to lead the LWO into the future.
She was so over around Backlash, and they could have capitalized on that because she was still over coming out of Backlash, right? Because, I mean, obviously she was so over there, and crowd reactions do, translate to other arenas then, right?
Ben, remember who she wrestled?
Yeah.
Rhea Ripley. Who's associated with who? Dom Mysterio. Easy money story. Easy money story.
I thought you were going to make a Judgment Day dig.
No, I wasn't. This one actually makes sense for once. People don't forget Zelina Vega and Ripley was probably Ripley's best title defense since she's won the belt. I would argue it was match quality and atmosphere wise the most exciting. If you add in
atmosphere wise, I agree.
100%. It was huge. It felt like a world title fight for real.
Yeah.
And it should have. It deserved it. It was amazing. Zelina, you have the Dom factor. There's plenty of rivalries to be had there. Maybe Dom, if the Judgment Day does crumble, maybe Dom and Rhea stick together and we end up seeing some sort of a feud there where they might be friends with Legato if there's a roster type takeover or anything like that.
Now.
No, I'm not trying to overcomplicate it, but there's a lot of avenues storytelling wise.
You're right, there is. There's so many ways they could go, and it's beautiful.
If you have Zelina at the helm navigating LWO, I think it makes the most sense by a lot.
No, absolutely. And I think she's somebody who deserves more TV time. Undoubtedly. She's somebody who deserves that main event spot. I do agree with that completely. And Bobby Petito would like to see it as well.
Bobby.
I could not agree more with you there. I mean, my computer's next to breaking again. I mean, it's a Monday. My computer's almost crashing.
Man, you're good.
I think your computer.
I know you guys can't tell, but on my end, you're suddenly Pac-Man or pixelated like that. The Instagram's frozen. I can't scroll through the comments. It's a Monday. My computer's crashing. I'm choking on water. My studio's falling down, and the internet wrestling community's on fire because of this Cody Roman stuff. And again, it's only a Monday. It's gonna be a fun week, isn't it, guys?
Crazy week. I'm excited about it.
I'm excited for the announcement.
Oh, I am too. I mean, it's gonna certainly be something this week. What will Tony Khan's announcement be? Also, not just that, but what will Cody say on Raw tonight after his match with Nakamura? Will he say anything, or will it just be a match? Will Triple H come out like I want him to? Will Sami Zayn come out like apparently Clark and Anthony want him to? we'll have to wait and see. But guys, it's been a fun one. It really, really has. Thank you guys so much for commenting. We've had tons of comments on Instagram and YouTube. We really appreciate it. We'll be back tomorrow with the Raw review with Clark. And yeah, we will see you guys then. Thank you, Clark. Thank you, Soul. Peace!